a couple of things. You just talked about failing. So before Zach and I give some updates and some big picture views, I think it bears repeating a couple of the crap stories I went through. Some of you heard it, but I think some of it is worth reminding because you are going to hit roadblocks. If you haven't yet, congrats, but you're gonna, and that's where we come in. And by the way, pivot here for a second. I saw Robert's comment that a buyer gave him a hug. I know Brian O'Neill has had buyers in tears. I think Brian even gets emotional when he sees the buyers in tears. So that we're helping a boatload of people. So when we have these headaches that I'm about to talk to you about, and you heard Zach's this morning about our companies, just know that you're affecting a bunch of people. That's not easy. You're going to have these headaches. Just expect it. So when they come, don't bum out. Don't go in a shell. Just go, okay, and call us. Now with that as a springboard, let me say why I say call us. I can go back to a number of different stories, but in the nasty one of the two nasty ones was 94 when, well, let me ask you guys a question. Raise your hand if you know what involuntary bankruptcy means. If you're not an attorney, do you know what involuntary bankruptcy means? Kevin, he's the only one. Okay, let me give you the layman Chris version. In 94, we were building a boatload of houses with no experience. And I got a call from my attorney, basically said, hey, Chris, your company's been pushed into involuntary bankruptcy. I had no clue. What happened was 3 creditors got together. It's all it takes. I had hundreds. 3 got together, bitched about not being paid, and pushed us into involuntary bankruptcy. Legally, they can do that. Never knew it. To this day, it baffles me. Now, a couple things. Newspaper articles went out. We were building a lot of homes. So newspaper articles went out, which instantly trashes credibility. When I remember like it was yesterday, I went to the courtroom because now you got a bankruptcy trustee judge who about 10 years later became my neighbor in a high-end neighborhood, which was a little bit interesting, and we had some good laughs. But at that time, I wanted to shoot him because I was in the front row of the courtroom in a deposition with about 100 subcontractors behind me. Not happy. And my partner abandoned me, didn't come to the room, didn't even show up. We were 50-50. So it was almost like it's Chris's problem. Just to paint a little picture for you. Some of you have heard the life threats, the gun sitting on my desk when I was talking to some partners. We literally had to build a wall. We had a 2-story foyer that came up to the office like an old house. It was an old house. We had to build a wall. My partner was the builder in the field. Build a wall with a lock on it so people just wouldn't come up the stairs. It got that ugly. So all that, I want to put a point to these stories going back to my morning opening. I had 2 times in my life when I didn't have a coach, like literally since college till today, 2 times. And they both fell into nightmare problems. This was one of them. I didn't have anyone to call and go, well, what would you do here? So now in hindsight, what would I have done? We closed. What would I have done? I would have had partners step up to the table because we had a pisser system. We had things going on, but I had no experience for a curveball. No coach to call like this community and go, what the hell just happened? What do I do? And I would have stayed in it. And who knows, maybe we would have franchised it. We had big plans to do that. But I didn't have a coach. It was major. So you're not in this community like for the good deals and all the fluffy things. Elijah at 18 years old just showed you an amazing deal. Those are great. You're in the community for all the other stuff that's not easy. So I just gave you some high points there, but that crushed me not just financially, but mentally. So if you've ever been beat up mentally, just know that it's normal. Try to get through the crap faster by leaning on us. I'll give you an by the way in that story. During that, right before that, what kind of pushed it over the edge was our controller, who worked for my father for over 20 years, so I trusted him, overdrafted our account $83,000 and pushed us into a whole other legal problem by writing himself nice checks and limos and trips on behalf of us. So that was the whole thing was interesting learning curve. So to this day, say to me, why don't you just get one of those check signers? You just stamp it. No, thank you. Been there. Dug myself out at $100,000 doing that. So there's all kinds of little lessons there that I didn't know any better. You all know, I hope, because you read the book, Real Send Your Terms, 08 was similar, meaning I had no coach. None. So again, in hindsight, it would have been treated a little differently. How it got funded, who I leaned on, who I asked for advice. After the fact, in hindsight, I went to some big names, some of which you know, and they made my story sound like it was nothing. They almost belittled it. That's nothing. Let me tell you what happened to me. But it was too late. And I couldn't ask them. They weren't my coach until 2 or 3 years later when I started digging into this going, why did that happen? What can I change? This is how this all got developed, the terms niche. This is how Smart Real Estate Coach and our family team came about, from going and talking to people ad nauseum, but it was too late. So again, all that to say, it's not too late for you. You got everything here. I know there's some guests here, so I just forgot about that, but you have an opportunity to get on the train with us. And never, ever, ever bang your head. Because I do hear a lot of times people saying, even in this community, I got it now, I did 2 deals, or I'm not in the community yet, I got it, I know how to do this. Yeah, you know how to do the easy ones. You know how to do the basic ones, but how much money are you leaving on the table if you don't come to us for help? And when you hit a curveball, how much you leaving on the table, or could you lose, even worse? And just to give you some high points before I pivot, when I went through 08, for those of you that didn't hear everything, there were probably everything someone's gone through in this screen, but I had it all at once. So I had the IRS after me, had to use the gentleman who I referred to you guys, Jerry DeLang. Why do you think he's in our community? I used him. He was my stress valve relief. He called the IRS. He worked out a payment plan. It took me from 08 till about 12 or 13, maybe even later, to pay that off. But I never had to talk to him again. He was my stress reliever. I then brought him to you guys. He helped someone out last week in the community. I keep that private, but if you have an IRS issue, he's the man. At the same time, I had tow trucks showing up to my property overlooking the ocean in Newport, Rhode Island at 5 a.m. Luckily, I was walking the dog because he came to take one of the 5 vehicles sitting in the driveway. Somehow I talked him out of it. It was probably the husky that Kayla and Zach had to scare the shit out of him. But he literally talked to me and left. He would have taken the car. I just happened to be letting the dog out in the dark. So if you have bill collectors, creditors, credit cards, I've been writing a book since 08 or 9 on how to deal with the idiot creditors who hounded me all those years. Nick was in my office when it happened, and how to get out of that and how to get yourself back on your feet and how to reestablish your credit. All that had to be done. This is all like within 2-3 years. And so again, I say all that to say, if you have challenges, it's okay. We probably went through them, and if not, I'll find someone that did, and they'll help you in my center of influence, or Zach's or Nick's or someone in the community. Somebody, if we didn't go through that nightmare, did, and they can save you some heartache. So all that led to the humbling experience of going from 2.5 acres in the water to a 1-bedroom apartment, as some of you know. And here's why I bring that up to you guys today, relative to this morning. I talk all the time about getting a reality check. It was hard ego-wise, despite 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 people telling me, why don't you just get rid of your overhead? There's an idea. So you're not making stupid decisions. Once I did, everything we built was built from that day forward. Everything. So if you got some overhead chasing you, fix it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it by doing more deals with us. I'll help you. Get rid of it by doing what I did, pivot from a large house to a 1-bedroom apartment. Talk about a humbling experience. It was a great experience in hindsight, but it was hard for me to get through that. So I don't know who might be going through that now. I hope I'm affecting someone, but just know that there's an answer to that too. It doesn't mean it's easy now. Zach went through and exposed and was vulnerable this morning to not only his personal stuff, but our business stuff. We tell you guys the good shit, the bad shit, and everything in between. So it's not easy now, but it's a lot better because we have the answers now, or we know people that do. So I will tell you guys that people are everything in this journey. This center of influence right here on the screen is super powerful. I remember being in person, and you guys are going to be there, I hope, with us at QLS this September. And it's an emotional time when this community connects in person, like literally emotional, tears flowing, and some serious stuff gets done. So I hope you lean on everyone here. And then when you see mentors of ours coming tomorrow and the next day, please take advantage of it. That's why we threw them there for you. So you didn't have to go through all these learning curves. Simple 5 steps for you guys. And then Zach and I have some stuff to share with you. Because everybody wants to know, okay, well, how'd you dig out then? Right? What's the formula? Let me give you 4 or 5 things. Some of them overlap from this morning on purpose, but I invite you to write these down. 1, I did find a way to hire a coach. Probably no surprise, right? I just told you there's only 2 times I didn't have one. So I found a way. And the only way to do that coming out of 12 or right around 2012 was to call around till I found a partner that would put the money up. Now, what did Elijah say? If you guys are all hearing his deal, It happened to be a family member, but he got a partner to put up the cash for his deal and promised him a big percentage of his return. Well, that's what I did. He said, fund this and I'll give you a third of my return until you're 100% whole. What person breathing wouldn't do that if they had the money? So if you can't find out how to hire a coach or up level your level with us or join us, whatever you want to do, get resourceful. So number one, find a coach. Number two, my morning routine was enormous. I won't bore you, but I will tell you that I took one thing at a time because it was grueling at first and just stacked those habits together about every 3 to 6 months. Add one. 3 to 6 months, add one. Brian O'Neill talked just perfectly this morning or this afternoon about when he looked back, he noticed he had a 44-day stretch. You guys heard that story. Now he's going back to that. Why did he slip? Because we're human. So number one, find a way to hire a coach. Number two, morning routine. Number three, I chose wisely, super wisely, who I spoke with, but not only that, but who they suggest I speak with. And I just chased it, followed the energy. So so-and-so says, talk to Robert. Robert says, oh, there's this guy that's helped me. I just kept following it. I didn't second guess it. Blind faith, like I just said earlier in that Q&A session. I didn't always agree with it, but I just followed it. Blind faith. That was number three. Four, I talked about this morning, working in chambers. Sounds like, okay, cool idea, Chris. Sounds practical. It's mentally crucial that you do it. Work in chambers. When Brian called me, I think it's a past issue now, about a buyer that affected him, I said, okay, go do A, B, and C and put it in the chamber and forget about it and go back to your business. Work in chambers or else life can distract you. Last one, the fifth is, I said this morning, use your goals. Now that you had a good day with everyone here today, you probably thought a little, I hope, thinking a little bit bigger. Use your goals as gatekeepers. Sometimes that's people. Sometimes that's just a time suck. Sometimes that's activities you're doing. If it doesn't move your needle, you can't be spending time on it, or you're going to be in the same exact spot at QLS. The opposite is true, though. If you use those as gatekeepers and you absolutely obsess over it, when it comes to QLS, you're going to be sitting there at Associate Dev Day, physically with all of us, in an entirely different spot, like the coaches are right now, who you've heard today all day. They all are in a different spot now because they've done some of these simple but critical things.